too warm and chill, two objects and their fields, ragged cup and a twisted mop, face of Jesus in my soup, those sinister dinner deals, meal trolleys, wicked wills, a hooked bone rising from my food, all things good are ungood, and the mercy seat is awaiting, and I think my head is a burning, in a way I'm yearning to be done with all this weighing up of truth, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and anyway they had no proof, and I'm not afraid to die. Interpret silent catalog, a black and two-faced scarlet fog. The walls are bad black bottom kind, they are the sick breath in my hind, they are the sick breath in my hind, they are the sick breath in my hind, they are the sick breath gathering at my hind. Well, I hear stories from the chamber, how Christ was born into a manger, like some wretched stranger died upon the cross. And might I say it seems so fitting, in his way he was a carpenter by trade, or at least that's what I'm told. By killing the ten evil across his brother's fist, that filthy fire did nothing to challenge or resist. In heaven his throne is made of gold, and the ark of his testament is stowed, the throne from which I'm told all history does unfold. Down here it's made of wooden wire, and my body is on fire. God is never far away. Into the mercy seat I climb. My head is shaved, my head is wide, like a moth that tries to enter the bright eye. So I go shuffling out alive.
I do not know whether anybody is watching or not because when I do this via the OBS, I have no idea of. I have no like report of who is watching and who is not. Who's not? Well, God, that's it's hot here, and you know, we just become. Oh, hello, Joe. It's very hot here, and our brains are not working at maximum capacity here, and it's been like hovering around 90 every day here in Portland. So hello, Joey Elf. What's up with you? Talk to me. I've got a heck of a lot of stuff I gotta work on here, and I'm just doing one of these streams. I don't think I've seen you here before, so if you're expecting something really exciting or decent audio quality from my crappy microphone, I'm sorry you're barking up the wrong tree. But if you want to talk about game development and whatever, see me like working on some final details. I'm kidding. Yeah, you come to the right place. So just let me know. Let me see here what I'm gonna show you because I have a list over here of all the things we got to do. Yeah, number one, I made the mistake of putting too much light inside the mayor's house because the line of the lighting almost perfect. Let's just turn off all this stuff so I can see where we are. Yeah, there's the mayor's. There she is. There she is, right over there. I need to speak up. So, or adjust my audio levels. I've been here for streaming a while. Yeah, I don't know how long it's been. I mean, I've been only streaming here now, I think regularly over the course of just like, ever since I think about, the winter. This past winter, I just started streaming every couple of days because if you've tuned in before, we're at this point, we're working on stuff that's just so, pedantic and dull. That sort of, coming here and streaming after a full day's work keeps me a little bit honest because, I'm like, hey, because trust me, after about eight hours a day on a hot Saturday, I'm like, Eric, do you have to work? Still, yes, I do. Because there's a heck of a lot of stuff to be done, and no one else. I can't ask anybody else to work at the same level I do. So, and also, a heck of a lot of these people, and trust me, Lance, he wouldn't even, bless his heart, he's a great, fantastic coder, but he wouldn't understand what I'm looking for. Oh goodness, how misplaced that one is. Why don't you just get rid of these entirely again? The problem is the interior on my side is a little bit too dark. Just fix those lights up there. AV decorative lights, so they're a little bit more illuminated. Anyway. Yeah, we're gonna just get rid of those and then replace them. Well, we'll just pump up these lights here. And by the way, just talking about, just stuff, because that's really all I have to offer. Most towns in Maine really don't have mayors. They have city managers and they have a board of selectmen. And really, it's kind of weird because when we started like creating, the political structure of Peace Island, we will confess, Lauren and I did not know about as much about electoral law in Maine, but fortunately we had a guy who worked for us and he ran for public office and he lost. And again, bless his heart. I was raised down south. So anybody that's raised down south of Mason-Dixon line, you know what I'm saying when I say bless his heart. Anyway, he lost. He was like, I'm going to move to Canada. And he started taking French lessons because he bless his heart, he didn't know how to lose. And he had just only recently gotten into politics. He was like, yeah, he gave a speech at the BL, Black Lives Matter meeting. And, he's like, yeah. And he ran up against a guy that has been in the same, a guy that had been in office for a very long time. And because he didn't win immediately, and the guy, his whole thing was rural internet access. And that's absolutely necessary. And it's a good thing. But, understand, this guy had been in office for decades, I think. He was running up against, the Old Boys Network. And this guy who ran Bless, he was a long-haired guy with a handicap because I think it was a congenital birth defect. he had one hand, and he was not the most effective communicator because during our company meetings, his way of like opening communication to me with me again was to go, Eric. I could imagine him at any debate he would have been at. He would have just been just this. He would have been a mix between Sam Kinison, who, by the way, for old people like me, he was a comedian that lived back in the '80s. He died. He did. Yeah, he was like sort of a raunchy comedian. Uh, Part of his thing was just getting angry and screaming. But I think, and but Peter doesn't work on the projects anymore because of various reasons. And I don't think we would ever get along because literally in his bio, he called himself the internet's #1 toilet aficionado. And honest to God, no. Better step up, Peter Borchel. I'm sorry, Arshina Gonzalez. He may sue me now. No, he won't. But anyway, no. Not that I'm in a toilet fetishist or anything, but honest to God, as Peter Borchel, do not dare to assert my throne of that. I mean, heaven knows. I mean, when my father passed away, the best way I could think of remembering it was to watch the toilet scene from Blazing Saddles. And heck, we could have that play in the background, but I'll get a copyright strike and the video will be blocked in half the country. But I think it's already blocked because, I mean, I opened it up with like a Nick Cave song playing in the background while I was preparing. So I put that. Oh goodness, this is still on over here. These texts. Oh my goodness, I am such. Anyway. You see, I was so absorbed with what I was talking about, I wasn't even paying attention to what was on screen over there. I'm very sorry, but we don't. And again, I don't expect it. Are you still there? Are you still there, Joe? Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. It's just no. I can't believe how annoying it is. I again, I'm not used to streaming. I still don't. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how things work, and I'm not used to looking over here. So, yeah, thank you so much. Well, no, it's not your job. You tuned in. So, I mean, what's up with you? Seen any good movies lately? I'm gonna try and put on some sort of music in the background. I recently got the Opera browser, and it's really great because it just blah blah blah. It has its own things. Also, I can go into Cryo Chamber and play music that I bought on Bandcamp. I need to buy more albums from this label. By the way, I'll just bring this over here. I really like this label. Yeah, it's called Cryo Chamber, and what they do is they do this like sort of cinematic. This isn't a good example of that some of the art, but they do dark cinematic, dark ambient music, and I mean, if you want to listen to an album that's like a half hour where you're walking through an abandoned steel factory, in some third world country at 2 o'clock in the morning, this is your label. That they have entire albums that just sound just like that. And I sometimes, usually when I'm writing, I really enjoy these guys on because also because I'm 80% deaf in one ear and I have a higher heart tinnitus, and the drone music sort of takes the edge off of my tinnitus. But anyway, let's see what we can put on here. I really like they're a band. I mean, some of these albums are kind of cool. I have to, gotta move that down. Because if you pay attention to like they're actually like the last refuge of the concept or like rock opera album because some of their records are literally like a movie from beginning to end. It's just like a movie for the mind, and I really enjoy them. I mean, it's unusual. Um, but let's see. Yeah, I was. Okay, so because until I put those lights in there, I just want to show our Patreon update. I hope that, well, heck, it's my channel. I'm not spamming so much, so just showing what it used to be. Yeah, here it is. This is a Patreon update from earlier this evening, and when I went into this interior, it usually looked. I mean, Laura's. It's set to a different settings, but you can see it's pretty good there. I kind of like this because when you initially get into this house in the story's time, this is basically the end. You get into the interior of this house at the end of the. There's always that first tutorial mission, and I kind of like the idea that this starts at the very dawn of that day. That nobody would have their like overhead lights on. They just have some ambient lighting on. So I think that's why I got rid of my lighting. But I just think when I played it before, this particular scene was just not. It was just a little bit too dark, and I'm wondering. Oh, I. Jeez, can't do this. Why not? Well, first we have to test. Oh no, we don't want to do that. Actually, well, the thing is, just put a couple more, perhaps, of these lights around. There would be one over here in the kitchen, I think. And I mean, really, if the TV is up there, I'm thinking I would never. I mean, Laura and I we do have one light to the left of our television like this, but I think you would want backlighting rather than two up front. Just thinking. Is there a cat bed then open? Oh, what's there? What is that? Oh, a pot. The pot could go. One more interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one over here so we have more light coverage. And by the way, I'd really love to turn on shadows on these lighting, but Unity just, I mean, maybe if we get into HDRP, we can see. And I think, by the way, yeah, we could, this, just doing a little bit of last minute interior decorating, by the way, because I think really? Just see. It's a little bit much. Really, we only need so many cat trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over here. And cat tree over here so the cat can look, look out at the birds. Bathroom lighting has. Oh no, there's one right there. But actually, considering that we can't have shadows anyway, why don't we just stick it back there, or it'll be out of the way, and not so close to the bathtub that it might be an electrical issue. You got to think about things like that when you're getting. I think we're good. So, that what we have to do is before I feel confident in taking it off one of the list of stuff that we have to do, I have to test it. So you'll have to pardon me. We're going to go and test this really quick. I mean, Laura earlier today pointed out that she couldn't find the beaver. There's a what's a group of beavers called? Hold on, let me just see. What is a group of beavers called? It's crazy. A collective. There is a collective of beavers on the island. And they are kind of small, especially when they're going through the high grass. And Laura pointed out you could not see them in the high grass. And it's an easy thing to fix. What we do is we add this collider that interacts with the vegetation engine. So when they walk through the high grass, you'll always see the grass sort of like switching around. So you'll know where they are. So what we're going to do now is make sure number one. we are in Tesla. And number two, we're going to zoom house. And we are going to turn off all gizmos. And we're going to move our test spot. Actually, it's very close to the mayor's house already. Right by it. So we're ready to rock. So, unfortunately, it's going to take it about a couple minutes to run. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, I never got to see if you said you saw any good movies there. Oh, little Foster failed. I'm very sorry about that. What was the problem? Well, we recently saw this at the Cat Cafe. If you're sick, I'll just say it. If you don't want to go over it, that's fine. We don't have to talk about it because I know it's painful. Oh, what do you mean? Foster failed. You fostered them, and you were like, "Oh, I got you. I can't give them up." By the way, we usually have better lighting in front, but because it's so hot, I turned off that lighting so that I can run a fan under the table and keep myself comfortable. But while it's running this, well, that's cool. You know, we recently saw. If you're not aware, we recently had a chance to show off Peace Island at a local cat cafe that opened here in Portland. Well, actually, in a town called Westbrook, right up here from here. And then, I don't know. It's kind of sad. There's a cat there, and it, I think it's a female, and it reminds me. She reminds me very much of Ronan. And they say, oh yeah, it was adopted twice, and it was brought back. And I think it's because everybody who gets one of these very long-haired, fluffy cats, oh, I want to cuddle them. They do not understand. They don't dig that at all. I mean, my parents had a cat, a Norwegian forest cat, and we have a Norwegian forest cat, and they are exactly. And this same cat over in the cat cafe was the same. They were a Norwegian forest cat. I mean, when you're hot, I mean, honestly, you don't want to be touched. You work around what the cat wants. The cat molds you into what they need. Hopefully, this new family can stand. You know, I understand Ronan. Maybe I get to pick him up for a few minutes, a couple of seconds. You know, maybe about 10, 20 seconds at a time. But mostly, he just wants to chase after treats. And, pester me in the middle. I'm cool with that. As long as I get a little bit of cuddle. I mean, that's a problem with a lot of people who adopt cats. They don't understand that really cats are never what you want them to be. They are themselves. And once in a while, you get really effing lucky, like I was the first time. And I didn't even know this, that I owned a cat. When I first adopted two cats, I just named them Boy and Girl, because, I'm spectrumy, I have my issues. But I mean, don't get me wrong, I love them dearly. But I mean, once they, got used to the home situation, everything, they very affectionate, very lap oriented, both of them, and they always just wanted attention and such. And I was like, I don't know, I was spoiled by them. And unfortunately, it wasn't until both of those kitties died that I adopted new ones. And I realized, oh, not all cats are like that. I should have known that. I mean, I've had cats. I mean, I have a book here of pictures of myself when I was like a kid, like the age of like 4 or 5, out on our farm in Brownsville, Oregon. And I mean, I've always had cats, but maybe it didn't come in, sink into me until after those two passed away. And I adopted other cats. And I was like, yeah, I was very, very lucky that I happened to get two cats that were just very, lap oriented, hanging out. The girl was always behind my back. The boy was always here. Mm. And don't get me wrong, the other cats. I mean, I understand. We all understand. Sometimes cats just are not the kind that want attention constantly. They don't want to be picked up. They are autonomous individuals. Um, Oh my goodness, never pick up kitty cats unless they're straight up. I was just about thinking about this. Yeah, I mean, this was something that a stupid thing that I did back in the day. But back in the day when I was a comic artist, quote unquote, and I was going to comic book conventions, I was in Philadelphia for PhilCon, and I stayed at this guy's house. And I said, "Oh, here's my kitty," and she was rubbing up against my legs. I said, "Oh, kitty!" And I picked her up, and it's in the middle of the night. Let's see here. I'm still testing it, but look here. You see, this is now the new snake vision. So during the night, if you're ever like, I don't know, I have no idea where I am, you just go, oh, look. And by the way, this is very much close to how, I mean, well, not very much close, but close to how cats perceive the world. They have like far less, saturation in their vision. And by the way, the shadows in this are kind of screwy, so don't think the nights are always going to be this dark. It's just severing myself on a tangent. But, I grew up on a farm in Oregon, like a little small farm. My parents were both like artists, craftspeople, artists, and we lived on a farm. We had a small garden where we grew food, lettuce, potatoes, squash, stuff like that. But we were not big farmers. But we always had barn cats. I mean, the thing is, when you live out in farm country, cats would come and go. And, some would stay for a while, have a load of kittens, and just leave. Some of them would, stay for years. Mm. By the way, these loading speeds are much faster in the player itself. And we're going to be working on these as we, there we go. Yes. Wow, it's kind of light in here. So look at that Wi-Fi in there. We have, you see that jiggling on the floor? I'm going to zoom in. See that? Okay, that's got to be fixed. I got to add that to the list. Sorry. List. Fixed Wi-Fi. Yeah. Floor in Mayor's house. Fix Wi-Fi. We had similar problems with, I think, the library floor. I mean, these are just like simple things that you don't notice. But I think the lighting was more or less cool in there for an early morning. Let's switch to daytime and see how it is.
Are now stalking us as the dusk falls on, and the gloom intensifies under the canopy of trees, making us more.
I just want to make sure that it looks good in both times a day before I mark it done, this will be. I'm sorry. Oh, hello! Two other people have come in. Hi, hello, Fuji. Hi, Joyce. Oh, thank you, Fuji. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I was going to tell you the story about picking up a cat without its permission. I mean, again, rubbing up against my legs, looking up at me, giving me all the tail up signals. Picked it up. Cat slash right across here. If I had not been wearing my glasses, that cat would have taken my eye. No joke. And I don't blame it because, again, I have not owned a cat. Again, owning a cat when you're a kid is different from owning it as an adult. It just is. And when I was a kid, I was like, oh, kitty cats, and I went through a gap of about 10 years where I didn't own a cat. And, I only got vicarious cat time. And I don't know. But anyway, again, yeah, because I went to the con the next day, and I literally had I had a scab this huge scratch that started here, went across my eyebrow, and went across my glasses, and went down to here. So, I may have been, my reaction time may have been enough to, like, close my eye, but it still would cost, oh my God. Yeah. And I held no problem with the cat whatsoever. It was my stupid idea to go, oh, kitty, duh. Cool. So anyway, oh yeah, we changed the day, the time of day to day, and we are going to try it again. Just walking up to that house and going inside, see what the weather's like, what the lighting is like inside, and then we take one more thing off our list. We are, at about 19 things that remain to be done for the closed beta, and 10 of those are essential, 9 are window dressing. But I think we're going to all get them done because if you didn't read our Patreon post, in fact, the Patreon post that I showed off on you, it's free. 90% of our Patreon posts are free. So, I mean, I think it's very important to just maintain our legitimacy, because people, I think exclusive dev news, sometimes, if there's something really amazing, or, I mean, for example, if we should sign with a publisher, that will be a private post. If we post a link to updates, that's a private update to Patreon. If we talk about something like story-wise that we haven't mentioned in other forums, it's a private post. But again, 90% of our posts over on our Patreon, which you can see, the URL for I'm burping. I'm sorry, I ate a buttered thing, and for some reason, butter it upsets. I am getting to that age where acid reflux it's just something. By the way, for viewers now or in the future, you may just have to understand this. Come on, especially when just get used to the idea you're gonna have to understand. Remember where the restroom is, no matter where you go, and have a good antacid at all times. But I think the antacid thing is unisex. Both genders just really should. And I mean, I have a strong stomach. I make my own kimchi. By the way, if anybody here make kimchi, I love kimchi. I mean, it's fantastic. It's like a superfood. You just have to make a good load every 6 months or so. And it goes with everything. The only problem is it's not. I don't think there is such thing as vegetarian kimchi. Straight up. Yeah. Okay. See, here in the middle of the day, the window. You see, it's daylight outside, but inside, and more or less, you see as you walk around, you got a little bit of surreptitious light. This is the way it would be. Oh man, I do not like that floor. We fixed one thing, and we discovered another. That's the game dev thing. I think. Let me look at the ceiling. Oh, ceiling gaps too. I think there's an issue here. And I'm noticing that the eyes do not react to. Alright, let's just make sure that we can flush the toilet. That's all. Yes, we can flush the toilet. That's the most important thing. Good. Alright. And you can see her fun, the red thing at the bottom went up a little bit. Let's just flush the toilet again. Yeah, see? Every time, let's just flush the toilet until we get into full happy mode. Actually, we don't have that coded in. What happens is, happy mode, if you've ever played Red Dead Redemption 2, I've never played RDR 1. If you, do a lot of Dr. McGillicuddy's cocaine syrup and chew a lot of tobacco and whatever, you get, bonus. You're a little bit better, you sort of gonna do bullet time and such. We have something similar to that for the cats, but it hasn't been coded in yet. And that your main job, by the way, is keeping the cats fed and comfortable. Those are the top 2 bars on the lower right here. Keeping them happy and making them happy, optional. I don't think we have a fun decay setting yet. But I would really like one. I would like it so the cats. I mean, cats get bored, much like everybody else. I'm gonna have to talk to Lance. In fact, let's put in all those things that we noticed. First off, I could say fixed lighting in Mayor's house. Santa's house. But what we got to do now is fix y. No, it looks like X and Z finding. Fix gaps in Mayor's ceiling. Yeah, so we're up to 22. Let's see. Next thing, actually, I'm just going to X right out of this because we don't need to play the exterior anymore. Yeah, Fuji. And by the way, Fuji and Joyce, if you got anything, please contribute to the discussion. This is open discussion. If anybody, if you guys are still there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our workbench scene, where we can take a closer look at the ceiling and the floor of that. But really, what I really want to do is first, we're going to go to a workbench, white box. And I want to grab the little interactive sphere that is inside of this cat that causes the grass and flowers and such to move in response to its passing. Again, I want to place that on the beaver, and I would like that on all NPCs. It would be really cool if we could add one to each of the hooves of the deer so that they walk through the grass, and leave a trail off for each foot. Probably you could do that, but it's not 100% essential. Beavers, yes, because they can't be seen, and beavers are an essential NPC species. Okay. So, white box. Yeah. Good place. Personal space, and it isn't just so much about personal space. Jolly also said something about cats, like their personal space. It's just a matter of, you got to realize, our concept of autonomous individual and sentience, I think, is very much outdated. I think cats are sentient, self-aware beings. They just are. And imagine if you and I were just like, walking along in a being that was literally 40 times heavier than we were, came up to us and was just, and we smelled, and we just, we have weird things, and we have liquid on our skin that they won't like on them later, and so on and so forth. We got to be self-aware of ourselves as a species, who we are, other people. I consider cats and dogs people. But anyway, okay, so now we got to go into here. I want to go to the scene and I want to grab that little thing inside the cat that causes, the grass. And to make it really, there we go. What that's what I'm going to do. Oh, well. Cat Elizabeth, yeah. Okay, cool. That's and I was shocked when I learned that people could declaw their cats. I had absolutely no idea, and that is absolutely awful. Such that is a violation of bodily autonomy. That's declawing is illegal in a lot of states. Here in the United States, it is illegal all over Europe. I think it's legal. Of course, legal in a lot of other countries too. We care about. So we're not unique in that. It's just, yeah, there we go. Particle interaction, dynamic. There we go. What we do is we copy that, guys. You see, if we zoom out, you could see in a way how, like I said, every time the cat passes through grass, it will leave a trail. And you can see here, this is the virtual trail that it leaves. You don't ever see it, but the computer keeps it in memory. And you see the colored part is one kind of grass motion, and down here is a slower kind of grass motion. It's games. It's kind of cool how things are put together in games. You just got to think about the world in different ways. It teaches you a lot about like how the world works, because a lot of how the world works is actually just replicated anthropogenic construction of the engine. Um, okay, so what we got that. You know what I want to do is again, I always either right click copy because there are so many times where I just did the keyboard shortcut copy, Control C, and I was disappointed after waiting 15 minutes for the target scene to load. You can't do that. You always should do the right click. I mean, on documents or whatever, maybe when you can do it quickly, but on a game, you gotta do it. So now we're gonna go into look for our beaver. We need prefab. There we go. Here we are. That is our beaver prefab. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to open that guy up. And as a child of a, let's see, where is the best way to make that a child of? We want to put that little, that little thing that disturbs the grass in a place where it doesn't screw with coding and also it is centrally located. I'm thinking right in the head. Seriously, right there in the head, because that's where the motion would start, right? So, beaver head. We paste that in. And we move it up so that it's child. Sorry. Sorry. Put it as a child head. See there? So now every time the head moves, that it will disturb the grass, and as it moves forward or whatever, or stays in place, that effect will stay. Now, what we're going to do, we are going to save that. Oh goodness, we made a mistake. Sorry. I made it a child, but I don't think it's the proper position. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a moment. You see. Yes, it is a child of the head, but let's see where that little sphere actually resides. So you see, it resides all the way over there. So literally, when the beaver moves, the grass in Buxton would move. A town 3 miles away would move. And we also in a position of precisely where den Kopf ist. By the way, I am of German. I'm of Austria descent, but I'm German descent. I barely speak German. Now I want to test this, and to do that, we have to go back into the piece of Onyx here. Hashtag / after that, sorry.
In time, I was ushered, as if by a gentle force, through a series of labyrinthine crevices and corrugated crags, and eventually...
Oh, and one of the really bad things I discovered recently was that shadows, somewhere along the way, all shadows from the Enviro, from our skybox, no longer work. I'm still trying to figure out why. And that is very important. You lose a lot of rules as a cast. For example, when I in the mayor's house earlier, I would ideally like it so that there are shafts of sunlight coming through the windows. And we will have it so that cats can turn on and off general lights inside the houses. You did a hookup. Not essential for me. So, what we want to do now is find our NPC. Let's see, beaver. There we are, beaver. Here we are. There you are, Byron. I didn't know we named them. That's cute. Thank you. It's adorable. Do they have other names? Let's see. That's yeah. There's only one snake. So what we're gonna have to do, I think these guys. I know these guys are moving around, sort of like a random. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the cat's test cat spawn location over to where these guys are, and we're just gonna take a look. Now keep our eye out for any motion in the grass. Let's see. And in which case, if we don't, well, there's enough vegetation. I'll have to add that to the list. So this is a spawn location. In other words, this is where we cat will always start. Let's see, there's the beavers right there. Let's start this guy right over here at a slightly higher elevation than the fire. And while this is loading, I have to step away from the room for a moment. Excuse me. Oh, beta for what? Oh, Miss Mizu? I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'll go for the beta. I'll explain the beta for you when I get right back. And Julia, I adopted a cat that was declawed by previous owners. They dumped her on the streets. Oh my God. Yeah, and I mean there was another story about somebody declawed the cat, and they brought it home, and they were so disappointed the cat wouldn't bury its own feces, its own urine in litter box, because it knew it had open sores. I mean, imagine that it had open sores on all of its fingers, and I mean, they just took it back to another animal shelter and left it. And they said, hopefully somebody adopted that kitty. They said, it just you need to understand this cat will not use a litter box. You just need to accommodate it, and hopefully somebody adopted a cat. Honest to goodness, declawing, the worst. Anyway, I'll be back because I want to explain what the beta is when I get back, and no, I want to take a break, and when I get back, I will explain what the beta is, and as far as Peace Island goes. So I want to see the beaver as soon as they spawn. So you're just gonna have to put up with, waiting for a couple minutes while I'm away, and then waiting for the 2 or 3 minutes for the game to start. But I really want to see if that beaver, when it moves around, if I see it, so I'm sure. And it's surrounded full foliage, as Marge Simpson says. So I will be back in just a moment. And while I'm doing that, I'll put this annoying text back up. I'll be back. And I'll put it. I'll be BRB, and I'll edit it. Hold on, edit. Can I edit it? Yeah. I'll be BRB. That's what I'll say. BRB. Gee, I hope our friend in Deutschland, Wolferpuff joins us. Right. I'll be back in a moment, guys and gals, and those in between.
The ground itself had given way, and I reached the bottommost extremities of the sunken valley. A crack in the land had opened up at the frontiers of the subterranean impasse. And yet, I continued to levitate, to be drafted into its unforeseeable depths, like a piece of floating debris cast adrift from some exploded star system. Almost at the same moment, with only a few seconds of delay, a soft sheen of orange and blue bioluminescence intermingled with the thickening atmospheric coagulations of my descent. The underworld was aglow with the grandeur of its radiance, an intraplanetary effusion of multifarious colors, coalescing as a collective quintessential throng in the vastness of the hollow sanctuaries of Centauri Proxima b. We began to detect moving forms in the particolored a visual spectacle beyond my wildest imaginings. They were the anatomical masses of the Cariferan, poised and floating in a variety of shapes through the unending chasms of competing brilliance. They moved with a revolving posture that literally alternated with imminent transformations of their bodily attributes, with no individual distribution of anatomy corresponding with another, while showing also an ability to manipulate the textures and shades of their integuments, like cuttlefish adjusting to the stimulations of their chromatophoric pigment sacs. I began also to see great architecture. I began also to see great architectural structures suspended in defiance of gravity itself, the colossi of sophisticated buildings and great machines of an irregular disposition and weird design, stilled in the vastness as if glued to some impossible foundation that in visual terms was completely absent. I had entered a paradigm of impossible geometries that comprised the metropolis of an intelligent species, with evidence of a highly advanced technological capability and a remarkable ingenuity that revealed itself on a prodigious scale.
He never wanted much screen time before, but now he just wants to hang out. He's a. This is a. By the way, if you wondered what a Norwegian forest cat or one of its descendants look like, this is what they do. They usually have the same pattern. It's very long hair, very large, very smart kitties. And of course, he's like not purebred, because whatever. Anyway. Let me turn that off. All right. Let's see. We were just. He said beta for what? So I am back. Oh yeah, he is. Well, again, he's absolutely adorable. But can I tell you something? He was a chore. He was an absolute challenge, and I'm very sorry for my microphone audio quality, by the way. I would like to spend like $50 on a microphone. Maybe I will. It would be worth it because whenever I listen to these. But anyway, going back to the cat. Yeah, when I adopted him, I mean, I did not know we would be in for like literally a year of absolute just. His default way of interacting with anything for about 9 months was just attacking it. And I think about a couple weeks after we adopted him, he just like smacked me in the face, and he gave me an eye, like some sort of infection or something, a sinus infection, because he scratched me across the eye, and I wasn't even just. I was just like, "Hi, how you doing there, Ron?" And he was like, "Yeah, right." And he gave Gary and Liz, our other two cats. Oh my goodness. Infinite patience they had to have. But I mean, also the web as well. He calmed down after about 9 months. You could see that he suddenly got it into his head that he was dealing with other human beings. And my headphones just said no audio. My ear headphones are getting out of power. So anyway. Got to keep my eye on the screen. One moment. Excellent. It's pulsing. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, there's a beaver over there. Yeah, you can see as the beaver's moving, it's moving a little bit too fast. that needs to be adjusted. But as you can see, the beaver, the grass is moving in its wake. So that'll be a way you could follow him. That's cool. Okay, cool. But this reminds me of another thing. You see that the grass texture is slightly different from the ground texture. That's another thing I need to fix. But hey, now the beavers are, a little bit more visible as they move around. That's cool. So I can move that off the list. And let's see. I was going to answer the guy's question about what this beta was for. And by the way, I'm sorry for any background noise. I have a fan again running down below because I was raised down south and I was used to AC and whatever, air conditioning, and I don't know, we can't afford air conditioning. So anyway, let me see. I'm sorry I spat out a little bit of bread there. I apologize for being gross. Let's see here. So, oh, great name, God. Okay. Beaver. And we also, let's see, the next thing, yeah, I think the next thing, let me make sure that the grass texture is still listed in my stuff. Yes, fixed wing grass texture is still TBD. Oh, and by the way, if you like, these are all the things that we fixed over the last 2 weeks. All of these. It's crazy the stuff that we've been able to get done. And we had to delay the release of the beta, and that brings me back to this individual's question right over here. I don't know how to pronounce their name again. And I don't know if they're still here. M11ES W. Let's see here. Yeah, we want to go to my vegetation workbench. And I think we just want to tweak the color that's being used on that prefab, the grass prefab. That's going to be easy. Lemon squeezy. Some of these fixes are easier than others. That's 19 things, like I said. One of the problems, I never answered about the beta. Okay, to answer M11ESW beta question, we have been working on a game. I should have started with this. Hello, my name is Eric. My name is Eric Blumerick, and I have been working with my partner, Laura Mackey, for the past 5 years on an independent, open-world adventure game about cats on a Maine island. And the game's name is Peace Island. And the twist of the game is that once cats find out why humans disappear, basically the game opens when one cat wakes up. She just moved to the island with her owner, and she wakes up in the middle of the night because there's a loud noise. All humans have disappeared, she discovers. First, her owner's disappeared. She jumps out of a window, and she discovers, along with other cats, that all humans have disappeared. Now, when you discover, by the time you discover, the denouement of the game is, over the course of the game, you discover why humans disappeared. And it will be up to the player and the cats to determine whether humans are worth bringing back, because you will discover why the humans were taken away. And over the course of the game, you will learn about all 38 people on this island, all the 38 people that used to live there. And each one of them has their own story. Each one of them has their own weaknesses, etc. And in the end, it's like I said, it's up to the cats to decide whether humans are worth bringing back. If I had to compare it to anything, and by the way, if anybody's heard about it before, not heard about Peace Island before, we started work on Peace Island long before we heard anything about Stray. And if you're not aware, Stray is another game, a cat-centric game that was released earlier this year. We would have been able to release our beta before they released Stray, had certain things not happened. But that's another big, long story. Okay, we're fixing the grass textures, so we're going to take this. Turn off our gizmos and get really close up. What we wanted to do, understand when my partner and I started working on this game, we started discussing it around 2015. I think that was about the time, around the time that my father passed away. You know, I don't know, but anyway, when we started working on it, we had no budget. It was just myself, my partner Laura, and we literally funded it from, you know, whatever change we found in the couch. We had no budget. And also we were just starting to learn Unity at the time, and you know, we worked on it for a long period of time. And TLDR, after, you know, a long time and a lot of work and so on and so forth, we're very close to releasing the first, what I'm calling it's the minimum viable product. And it's also the first closed beta. I will explain closed beta first. Closed beta means that this is a beta of the game, meaning that all the systems of the game are more or less working, etc., etc. And we are just trying to put in more content. And it's a minimum viable product because we are it's going to be what we submit to publishers. Over the last 5 years, you know, a number of publishers have gotten in touch with us and said, "Hey, we heard about this game, Peace Island, you're making. We would really be interested." And no matter what, I mean, we've had conversations with them, and they are not. I mean, no matter what we say, whatever we say to them, and whatever screenshots and whatever promises we make to them mean nothing. What matters is being able to present to them a version of the game in which most systems are running. And it can be flawed, it can have bugs, it can be a little bit janky. But this is a version that we are going to be submitting to a number of publishers. And we wanted to release this on, I believe, August 28th, but unfortunately we had to delay for a bit. I think until just we delayed until tomorrow, but really considering our list of stuff that we have to finish, we are not comfortable releasing this as a closed beta until a week from today. A week from tomorrow, because a week from tomorrow, because there are just simply too many things that remain to be fixed. Like I said earlier, unfortunately, all shadows have disappeared from the game, and that's a major visual thing. And we, like I said, we have not fully integrated the happy mode that I mentioned earlier, where the cats have a little bit of a boost and such. And part of that is me creating a visual filter that indicates to the player that they are in happy mode. Anyway, that's I'm sort of getting off on a tangent. But to answer, let me see, M11ES's question, that's what our beta is. We are not going to be able to release a full public beta, and I'm going to say it here, probably for about 8 more weeks, depending on funding, because there are just, beyond what we need for the minimum viable product, there are just so many tweaks and fixes and stuff that needs to be added. We want, right now we only have 5 interiors that the cats can visit. In fact, let's just go down here, I can show you. Let's just This is sometimes my computer has so much memory, but complains. Sorry, but anyway, we went. Why not even? We're not even gonna wait for it. Right now, the cats can go into 5 interiors on the island. For the full beta, for public beta, we want 10. For the full game, you can see how many houses and buildings there are on the island. Ideally, quite frankly, one of the things I've really hated about open world adventure games is that whenever, for example, in Skyrim or any Elder Scrolls game, you go into you go into any town and there's so many structures that are there with doors and windows, but you can't enter them. There's nothing inside of there. I mean, even there are people that could hack into the game's code and go inside of there. And there's nothing inside of there. And I would really like it, ideally, so that every interior, every house in this game is accessible. Every last interior. That is 90 interiors, straight up. In other words, 9 times as much as that we'll have in about 2 months. I think that we could do that if a publisher is willing to pay for, and invite 1 or 2 interior artists to help us out. Or we could find one locally, but quite frankly, I would like to take advantage of their pool of talent because, long story short, the best way I can put it again is I keep on saying is I put my trust in the wrong people at the very beginning. I didn't know I was entering the most with that Laura, my partner and I were in the most cutthroat entertainment industry in the world. I think when it eventually comes out, I think in video gaming, because there's so much money in it, when the story's all told, it'll make Hollywood look like a kindergarten class. All the corruption and sexual abuse and all the, theft. It'll make that look like nothing. Right now, before we're even sending our builds out to publishers, I'm trying to figure out ways that we can make it unhackable so that these guys can't just. I mean, who knows it? I mean, the publishers that have gotten in touch with us, they are reputable. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't know whether they're reputable enough to just not just take our demo and reverse engineer it and produce it at 1/4 of the cost or whatever. But because they could just, we will not do any business with companies in China. And I need to get back on track, by the way. I'm getting off on a rant. And I have nothing but respect for the great people of China. And, but I think I am a Marxist, and I think the Chinese Communist Party sucks ass. I'm a straight up Marxist. I think China, they are a crazy society, and China, if we work with any publisher over there, understand they cannot have gay people in the game, any reference to gay people in the game. And like I said earlier, a great deal of the game it's told from the perspective of the cats, but a great deal, I mean, how the cats discover about the human race is the stories of all of the humans that used to live on this island. And we wanted to make it representative of the human race. So even though there are 2 characters in this game, 2 humans, they were gay when they existed. And even though they don't appear anywhere in the game, China, or any game developer that China owns, and they are starting to own a lot of them, would go, no, we can't have that. And they would also have a problem with cats talking or communicating, any animals communicating verbally with each other. So Xi Jinping sucks. He just does. And everything that's happened since he came to power, I mean, it has just been, I remember China 10, 12 years ago. No, I was never in China. I've never been to visit China. But I remember how much in awe people were of China, despite all of its flaws. So many years ago. But anyway, I'm going to get back to it. And now, I mean, literally, they're like, oh, yeah, we're just going to go back to the 1970s. We're going to elect a dictator for life. We're going to, just start doing all this crazy 5-year plan crap again. And it's just, why? You're on the way, China. Okay, so what was I looking for? Oh yeah, the grass texture. Before I got off on all that rambling, I'm sorry. Thank you for like sitting through that. The few people who are still watching. Why do I? 2018 or 2019. Don't like that. Nothing. Yeah. Somebody in the chat said, yeah, we would like it so that everything in the game is. Okay, we want to go to a place where we have unbroken green, and that would be, yeah, it would be the sheriff's lawn over here. Oops. Hopefully it was not a spoiler. The town sheriff, law enforcement officer. Oh, and I just noticed something. Oh, no, I know what's going on. Now, looking at this superficially, what we're looking at right now, you go, oh, I see grass waving and I see grass on the ground. Well, you'll see that there is a very subtle difference between the shading on the grass above, and when we really zoom in, you'll see the saturation on the grass texture down here is much, much brighter, and also that texture needs to be reduced in size. And I'm wondering, I'm going to leave this up to the people in chat. What should I do? Should we, A, change the texture on the ground so that it is not, so that it's less bright and less neon green and it more matches the green texture of the grass above? You see, the green grass is a lot more desaturated than the texture below. You see that lurid green? Or alternatively, we can make the grass above the same very bright texture as the grass below. Or we could just make it meet in between. I'm going to put on a loop of the Jeopardy theme while I'm going into the other room and making a sandwich, and at a low volume, and you guys can decide whether which one we should do. So I'll be right back. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, they always have it for only 30 seconds. I want the for hours. For hours. 1 hour. No, that's the theme song. I want the thinking song. The timer song. All right, Jeopardy timer song for 4 hours. Oh, no, nobody ever did it, it seems. Oh, yeah, 2 hours of thinking music. There we go. Some hero. Yeah, we're going to have that playing along the way, and you guys can decide on what we really should do about this grass. You guys get to decide what we do. BRB. Honest, I don't know what's been playing. For all I know, it may have been like Horse Festival Lead or something. Let's just turn. Actually, let me see. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, it's got the horn. Okay, so what do we decide on? I gotta turn this off in the background. Man, it's like the jazzy version. I heard a little bit of sax in there. They were putting a little bit of the, Cole Porter down there. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah. So somebody, the only person who responded, maybe I don't know how many people are watching. So anyway, somebody said, yeah, you said first option, which was making the ground every bit is sort of desaturate, and I sort of like it because when you look at that green, it sort of reminds me of some sort of septic green, but and so yeah, I think that's the best thing. Just changing the texture and will be quickest. So what we need to do here. Go into our texture. You can see how luridly green that is. And I'm thinking the best way to sample the color of the grass is literally take a screenshot of the grass and sample a color from there. And the best way I think to do that is we have a nice cross section of what the grass looks like in profile here, with very little grass underneath. So the image crop. I'm going to use median. Make that very good. Okay. That is a color we really want to go with. By the way, this Simpsons image over here is something, if you saw it for half a second. The other day I was on Midjourney. Yeah, the AI thing, and I asked for dash cam footage of SpongeBob SquarePants punching Mahatma Gandhi. And for some reason, it gave me a picture of the Simpsons doing various things, which just goes to show, hey, AI isn't perfect yet. So anyway, let's see here. Gotta make sure. Yeah, we have our color sample, and what I'm thinking we need to do here. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, this is why I had something selected. Sorry. Okay. All right. I forget that I had that already still selected, so we want to put this on color. And you see that takes our grass down to similar. But let me just take a look at that screenshot again. I think we'll be good, actually. So just, we'll take a look. I mean, really, that's all we can do is just take a look. Save that and go back to Unity. Reload. Refresh. I think the terrain sheet I'll update on as well. Ooh. not so much. Let's just take a look here. It might be because it has to, we may have to, wrong tool, sorry. We may have to reboot to make this whole thing actually work. But hey, not reboot, but restart the project. Okay. Let's see, this is using the CTS 1241. Let's see. I think what has to happen is, oh, I see where our problem is. It is, and our problem lies not with the textures, dear Brutus, it lies within ourselves, deep Caesar. You see, look at that very bright texture we have selected over here. We need to bring that over. Looks even worse. Looks even worse. Should have changed it. I think also it was like more. Ah, there we go. We're getting closer there. See? Step down a little bit more in this direction. Yeah, there we go. Let's get a little bit closer. You see, it's far less obvious than it was before. And now what we need to do is scale that texture down a bit. Or, yeah, down. Tile size, we're going to move that to 13. Yeah. Only problem is it could stand to be a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. A little bit still to bring. Take it back. Yeah, there we go. But I'm like, yeah, it looks great here, but let's turn on the lighting. Ooh, still seems to more or less blend pretty well. Okay. Only problem is now all of these hedges look so yellow in comparison, but they always did a bit. Okay. So I'm going to move that into the done column. Yeah, and I think right now we're going to take care of these two issues that we found outside the mayor's house just, a couple of minutes ago. I'm going to keep streaming because. First option. Oh, by the way, AI can't be copyrighted. Yeah, I'm. Okay, you're gonna have to refresh me memory there. Jelly Elf. What was Jolly Elf? What was the context of the AI comment that you're responding to? I've been rambling on and on, so I sort of forgot. But that's something I want to address. It's really good. Excuse me. The thing about this whole thing about I mean, when I found out that and here's the thing, don't call it AI generated art. It is not art. AI generated imagery, AI generated content. Is somebody who was an illustrator for years. I have to say you can't. Art requires a human element. It just is. But anyway. As far as AI content not being able to be copyrighted, that is turning out to be an issue because if you can't copyright it, you can't monetize it. And that's unfortunately the crux because Steam is saying, and a few other development people, we can't use AI generated content, and it's not because of any ethical reasons. It's simply because legally they cannot copyright it. They cannot copyright it themselves, and thus they cannot make money off of it. That is the number one reason. It all boils down to money. Now, what's going to happen is, and I guarantee you there are already people working on this, and somebody's going to come in and for a judge, and they're going to have a piece of AI generated content, and they're going to go, you see, we moved this one pixel from the lower right hand to the upper right hand. Can we copyright this? And the judge will go no, and immediately there will be another suit. Okay, we moved 2 pixels. Can we copyright that? And that, it's just going to go that way and that way until they, because understand, when capitalism comes into things, it cannot be, unfortunately, taken out. And can I just say, as somebody who is a game developer, really relying on human art is great, and we would love to do it, but it's very, very expensive for, and also for a very good reason. But we have spent, I think, it's really hard to calculate how much we have spent in our budget on actual 2D art. And if you don't believe me, let me just go here, please. Just seems projects. 2D art. You see, we have this entire folder full of hundreds of handmade images. None of I have a separate folder for AI. These are all photographs and in art. I mean, if you're thinking, oh, we literally have, this is MS Paint art we've had people do for us. Here is like other art we've had to do. We have spent so much, and at a certain point, for a project of our size, we can't afford as much 2D art as we would like. And the AI thing does fill a gap. And it's not the artist's fault because they deserve to be paid absolutely equally for what they produce. And I'm saying this because, again, I was an independent cartoonist for years. I was literally a starting artist in Seattle, Washington back in the 90s. I lived in a room that was smaller than the room that I use. This is like a small dining room in this apartment. I used to live in a room smaller than the room that I use now as an office, and I had furniture that I pulled off of the street. And I mean, I did everything I could to survive. As an artist, I know it's tough, and that's why, again, I refuse to call AI-generated content art, and also why I think that, I mean, we need to respect, artists need to get paid. And I mean, there's so many times that I, as an independent artist, was approached by people, and they said, oh, yeah, you're doing it for exposure, you're doing it for whatever. No, I can't pay my rent with exposure. I can't, and so many artists get that same bullshit from so many people. It's insulting, because artists, we work hard. We work freaking hard. We sketch the same head thousands of times to be able to do a head that looks correct, or a car 1,000 times. You don't see the thousands of reams of sketches that we throw away. So I'm 100% in favor of 2D art, and artists need to get paid, but I don't know, for a lot of things that we're trying to do right now. I mean, for example, like concept art. I don't think that when we get back down to AI generated content, I don't think that, for example, anybody is going to be able to bar us for using something like Midjourney for concept art. And here's why. Let me see if I can find the picture. Understand, again, as an artist, I could spend about 20, 30 minutes in there and sketch. But I mean, one of the things as an individual artist, I was humble because I was not all that great, can I just say. That's why I lived in a basement room. But what was I talking about? Sorry. Yeah, concept art. But trust me, again, every day I wake up with this list of all the things I got to do. Who has the time? There was a time when I had to, let's see, travel to, or was it, actually, no, I know exactly. I wanted for this thing, for the game, just something that would pop in and out for a certain purpose. And I wanted this robot to look a certain way. And when we needed it, I'll just straight up, I said, I went over to Midjourney and I described what I wanted. And I didn't say, give me a 3D model. I said, just give me a rough blueprint of this thing. And it gave me about 13 different versions of 12 different versions. And I chose the one that I wanted. And then I recreated it inside of Unity. And let's see, we'll find it. Yeah, Probe i3. Here we go. This guy right here. Some of the textures are gone. Let's just bring it up here. Yeah, some of the textures are gone, but I can fix it. But yeah, essentially, I just needed an idea for a robot architecture that I needed for something. And within about 3 minutes, I had this. And yeah, this is me taking that sketch that Midjourney did, bringing it into Unity and recreating it out of primitives. Just primitives and slapping textures on it. And as you can see, there's one texture that's wrong. Let me see if I can fix it really quick. I think it just may be just an HD or a P texture still. But I mean, can Steam or some company say that we cannot they cannot monetize, or I cannot, etc.? Because this isn't something directly created by AI. This was something that was sketched out by AI, recreated inside a primitive with primitives, and then put inside of the game. So I don't know where this whole thing of like being able to copyright and monetize is going to begin and end. And I think that any people like Steam, unfortunately, and I say this again as somebody who lived the life of a starving artist and knows what it feels like to spend decades of literally decades with an S sketching, drawing the same thing over and over until you get it just right. But unfortunately, capitalism is going to dictate that that AI-generated content is going to be able to be copyrighted eventually. It just will have to be. Because, think about it. If I, as an independent game developer in Maine, of all places, or you don't think of Maine when you think of game developer, is cluing onto the fact that I can go to an AI program and ask it for a concept sketch, and then take it a few steps further with myself. Every one of those companies, I guarantee you, they have ChatGPT hooked up to their 3D system, and it's already generating content for them. And they just won't tell anybody. And eventually, when it gets disclosed, there's going to be another gigantic lawsuit. And here's the problem. I'm sorry if I'm rambling on and on about business too much, but somebody touched. I mean, when Jelly Elf touched on AI, yeah, that brought up something that I wanted to talk about. It's just that it's similar to another wall that recently fell in this regard. Oh no, it's coming up on a similar fight to what went on before, because um, the actors and the writers whose strike I 100% support are fighting right now for the rights of game developers like myself and independent artists like myself and artists that still pick up the pen and pencil. They're fighting for everybody anywhere, because there is going to come a time when game companies are going to be like, oh, we don't want artists anymore. We don't need coders anymore. In fact, they're predicting within like 2 to 5 years there are going to be no, human coders anymore. And unfortunately, unlike our unionized brothers and sisters, actors and writers and such, game developers were not unionized. When those game companies decide to just replace all of us, they're going to be able to do it, just without any regard to anything. And I mean, I keep on joking with Laura. I think Peace Island will be one of the last purely human-made games made. And it's a brave new world. And I'll keep on going back to this. And I'm sorry I'm not working on Peace Island. Yeah, what was I going to work on? I forget. I fixed the grass texture. Let me see. And it hurts for me to say this, but understand. I know it hurts to hear this. Sorry, I should have stated that more clearly. I know it hurts to hear this. But to all of the writers and all of the creative people whose jobs will probably within the next 2 to 5 years be taken over by AI, welcome to the club. Understand that has been happening to every blue-collar worker in the United States and many white-collar workers in the United States well onto decades. And every time one of those guys' jobs were taken, you know what we said as a society? Learn a new trade, get a new skill, get with the times. And you know what? The people that were saying that for the most part were people like artists, writers, creative people who are like smugly going, they'll never take our jobs. We have the luxury of looking down on these blue collar workers who had these jobs, and we were just like, oh yeah, get another job. Well, unfortunately, the educated creative class is now having to face that same reality. And it sucks, but I think, well, goodness, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, as they say. And heck, I think every creative person, in the Wall Street Journal, who wrote those, op-eds about, well, mechanism is great and people can work on, fire them and have their articles be written by ChatGPT from now on, because they were all for it. I was never in front of it. I've always been 100% pro-labor. I've done work back when I did work for political organization. I did work for unions here in the United States. I think we only have about 5% union membership in the United States, and it's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. So anyway, I'm sorry I'm going off on politics and such, but when you talk about AI and creativity and such, I just can't stand the hypocrisy when I hear a lot of these creative people like myself that are like, oh, their jobs are being taken by computers, and these same people for years were like, oh yeah, those auto workers, huh? Well, what are they? They can move. They can get a better job somewhere. Oh, those coal miners. Why don't they get a job somewhere else? Get with the times. Learn a computer trade. You know what I'm saying? That is the exact same situation that, again, creative and intellectual professions are having to deal with now. And at a certain point, there's a little bit, again, as a supporter of unions, a little bit of schadenfreude at that. Anyway, let's go back to my list. Oh, fix gaps in the mayor's ceiling. That is a thing. But eventually, yeah, for good or for ill, and I think mostly ill. But yeah, AI generated content will eventually be able to be copyrighted. In fact, I guarantee you there already are probably millions of instances of AI stuff being copyrighted, that has been copyrighted, that is either just assume that it's copyrighted because people can't detect that it's AI, or they're just doing it to wait for the court case that will determine that yes, it's totally legit to do that. And I don't like it any more than anybody else does, but it's oh, that's school lectures. Bürgermeister's Haus. Bürgerhaus. Ja, das ist es. I'm sorry if that sounds heartless, but yeah, it's coming from somebody again who's worked as an artist for many years. I mean, if anybody wants to see the quote unquote art that I used to create, I can call some up, or you could just Google my name and look for those like concept sketches that I did for a game called Inherit the Earth. I did those back when I was living in that like little crappy, basement apartment in Seattle. But man, those were the days. I loved it. It was like a job. I was getting paid to do art. It was awesome. Okay, now this was one of the things that we had to deal with. Number one, shininess way too high. And it looks like it is getting its reflections. Strange how we saw the reflections of the sky. Hold on. Receive global illumination light maps, light probes, cast shadows. Let's just see here. Let's just give me a moment. Okay, cool. What we're going to do is first concentrate on the mechanical part. Just make sure that those roof tiles are lined up so I can pull one thing off my list. Nobody's answered if they've seen any good movies lately. See that there are no good movies. Yeah, you just see it there. It's weird. I'm gonna get rid of all of these except for one and just retile the entire front. It's totes cool. Nimona was good. Nimona. Red Letter Media reviews that. What else is good? No, I don't use that. Let's see. Computer Anime Science Fantasy Adventure Comedy Film. Let's see. Just looking at the Wikipedia page for it. Let's see if it has any voice cast. RuPaul. Is that the Oh, it has RuPaul in it. Any movie that has RuPaul in it. And I'll tell you why I respect RuPaul so much. He was born in Alabama, like a couple of decades before I was. I'm not gay or black, of course, as you can tell, but I can't imagine what it was like living as a gay black man, when he was born. He persevered and became one of the most famous people. So, anybody who's bizarre and different and has been able to persevere because, if not in spite of that. And it looks like one of the problems we have is the rotation of this. It's not set to 0. Oh, what the hell? Oh, odd. Hmm. All right. Well, we just keep the gizmo centered to its X. X. No offense to anybody who lives in the South. I mean, the South is just a tough place to grow up in. I mean, any place in the United States is a tough place to grow up in if you're a nonconformist or just a weirdo, you know. I like weirdos. I've always hung out with weirdos. I mean, Laura and I were talking. I mean, so Laura and I saw this video the other day about how on TikTok there are unfortunately some people who are trying to actively, the only way I could describe it is if you're familiar with like some of the things associated with like schizophrenia or hearing voices and such. There are ways that people can actively foster those, and I mean, I was listening to this YouTube channel. It was just, I mean, one of these YouTube channels like Nexpo or whatever. They go into like internet odysseys. I think it was called Virtual Carbon or something like that. But it was interviewing somebody who was very famous on TikTok for this sort of like dimension shifting or something. And of course, there's no, I don't believe that sort of stuff. But understand, for tens of thousands of years, and this is just keying back into the whole like conversation about weirdos. For tens of thousands of years, in just about every culture on Earth, we had shamans. We did. It was an almost universal phenomenon. The shaman, the person who took care of sacred rites, etc., and heard voices and did weird things. Yeah, that for again tens of thousands of years, we do not have that anymore. And to a certain, not that I believe that there's any practical value to it, but I think there may be some, Jungian value to it, collective conscious value to it. And that, I don't know, I kind of think it's neat that there are some people who are still trying to fulfill that role. To a certain extent, it's neat, but unfortunately, like I said, actively fostering elements of like schizophrenia in yourself is never a good idea. Never, ever. Don't ever do it. Never once. And you can see here, there's still a tiny gap between these things. Oh, I already duplicated those. That was so sweet. But I don't want those. These, what the heck's going on here? I want to duplicates of these guys. Yeah. Genesis P. Orange talks about a lot about like shamanistic stuff. I think that there is something to it that think about it. There's a reason that people still read horoscopes. There's a reason that people still believe in like I forget the percentage of people who believe in ghosts, etc., far exceed that you would believe in like a rational 21st century society, but they do. And I think it's no like slight on those individuals for the greatest part of it. I think it's just individuals who have an itch that we used to just like tell people, go to the shaman. He'll chant over you, maybe listen to you, maybe give you some ayahuasca or whatever passed for it back in those days. I hope you figure it out. And nowadays there's so many like Duncan Trussell. I'm not the biggest fan of his, but Duncan Trussell, he's an American comedian. Just make sure he's. Yeah. But when you think about it, he raised this really thing. When you look at the formula that think about it, these CEOs, they live in towers. For the most part, they're aged. and they literally have these formulas. And it was once shown, one of these was shown in Capitalism: A Love Story, which was a movie by Michael Moore, that literally is a formula for making money out of nothing. These people are wizards. They're not good wizards, but I mean, literally, if you went back a couple thousand years, they fulfill every criteria for being a wizard. Again, living in Tower Age, being able to just, be able to wave their hands and go, oh, my lord, et cetera, et cetera. They could do things that they have powers that nobody else has. And anyway, I think to a certain extent that, again, it ties it. We had these things for thousands of years. We know where they're headed. Do we still need shamans and wizards? I don't know. Some people do. Definitely some people do. Otherwise, these TikTok channels would not have literally, I think, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of subscribers. There are people who literally want to see if they can skip to another dimension. And maybe they believe a little bit of it. Wake up to this. But also, there's so much harm that can. Of course, anything that's not based on rationale. And again, I think with the loss of the shaman, there's something lost in Western society. And I'm not one of these neo-folk guys. Oh, let's go back to Odin and the old gods. Oh God, no. All those people are losers. Seriously. They're like once removed from the incel, and almost like the Proud Boy thing. Grow a beard, go out into the forest and have a fist fight with another sweaty bearded man. Again, great for you guys, not gay, but if that's your thing, if that's how you define your manhood, fantastic. But no, I do think there are reasons why we did go along with these, things like managing stuff. And by the way, in Peace Island, Laura and I, no, we have no roof for peace. I just want to grab the pie slice of those, all the rest and duplicate the others. Right, there we go. And I don't want to go any further because then I start talking about these crazy people. Oh, there's a crisis in manhood, etc. Oh, please. The only crisis in manhood in the United States and worldwide is that there are people like Andrew Tate who sell like this really disgusting version of manhood. And there are people like Tucker Carlson who try to make money off of that. That's it. IMHO. And I usually say no offense if you believe this, that, and the other, but no, if you believe in Andrew Tate, if you listen to anything that utter just degenerate douchebag had to say, oh please. Well, no, I'll say I will stick around to educate you as to why you should not do that. I mean, if you need somebody to do that, I will do that. I'll gladly spend some time with you if I could save one other person from falling into that rabbit hole. Honest to goodness. I have never seen a more insecure, narcissistic individual in my life than the first time I saw Andrew Tate. And it shocked me when I learned how absolutely universal his appeal was. Literally, I understand they were having to have like assemblies in schools in Europe and just where like everybody, the teachers came up and said, listen, you may have heard about this guy. You really shouldn't listen to him. Yeah, absolutely. Drop shipping on Amazon. There's this old saying, you can always test a person's worth by how they treat an animal. Andrew Tate, number one, if anybody is watching this or supports Peace Island who is an Andrew Tate fan, know that Andrew Tate, number one, hates animals and considers anybody who owns a cat to be, less than alpha. because we don't have a strong chin like he does. Anyway, there are videos of him with his dogs, and he treats them like garbage too. Right? Anybody who treats animals with disrespect or not, whatever best care you can, you're stuck. I am sure. And can I just say, I say that as somebody who did that once in his life and has spent, and trust me, I know I'm going to be atoning for that for the rest of my life, and I have no problem with it. I never killed or never tortured or intentionally harmed anyone, but I'm just saying. Because we all make bad mistakes. It was an act of carelessness. I mean, I'm 53 right now, and trust me, again, I know I'm going to be atoning for because I kind as much as therapy, etc., I would rather just. And I just realized this is not centered on me. Part of that atonement, I might as well make stories while I'm doing this. I don't know if you're aware, but at a certain point in my life, I was put into a drug rehabilitation facility. And that was because I was severely ADD at the time. I was undiagnosed, and I was living with a parent who had unfortunately heard about this drug called Prozac. And this was like in the early 90s, 1992. That's now 32. What is it now? 32 years ago, 31. And that parent did not know that to some people who have ADD, Prozac is literally a poison. And it caused me to behave in bizarre ways and do things that, again, et cetera, et cetera. And unfortunately, that parent would never admit that the medication that they were demanding that I take was harmful. Because every time I screwed up, every time I did something stupid, every time I got arrested, every time I harmed myself, this individual would be able to go to her relations and say, my goodness, Eric is just such a basket case. I don't know what to do. And she would be able to get attention by proxy. And I remember the day that, was offered those drugs and everything at school. That destroyed almost a decade of my life. And when I went to the drug rehabilitation facility, yes, it helped me because there was a situation where I did not have access to anything else. Because understand, when you have ADD and you're put on a drug that makes everything 10 times worse, whether you know it or not, you're going to try and self-medicate. And unfortunately, two of the most easy ways that I could self-medicate were alcohol and cigarettes. And unfortunately, alcohol with Prozac caused a psychotic reaction. So in addition to the Prozac Yeah, in addition to my ADD behavior and being 10 times worse, I was also like every time I tried to do something that made things better for myself, I wound up making things, much worse. And when I went into, the drug rehab center, it's a good thing, not so much that I was taken off the alcohol and, the other things, but because I was finally taken off of this freaking Prozac. And I understand that Prozac helps millions of people. Bless you. Understand, everybody has brains that are different. My brain couldn't take it. My brain could not take it. And unfortunately, I tried to take my parent. It's not working. I feel horrible, but I just feel like, Eric, that medication is so expensive. We're just trying to help you. And it wasn't until my life, literally, what happened was, at a certain point, I lost everything. I lost my job, my place, my car, everything. And I was in a jail cell being beaten, having the crap beaten out of me by somebody else, by another inmate. And at that point in my life, again, because I was taking Prozac, because I had been gaslighted into thinking it was good for me, I just sort of said, I said, I finally admit I need to go somewhere. I need to go somewhere where I can get help. And not knowing that, yeah, I always have issues I have to fix, but unfortunately, at that point, the major thing was that I was being literally poisoned. And I was finally taken out of that situation. Because at this drug rehab center, no drugs. No drugs whatsoever. Even psychiatric medication, no. And I went in for dental surgery twice when I was at this drug rehab center. No painkillers, no nothing. You just come up, you take some Midol, or you take some whatever the heck you can find, and just go to the AA meeting and just go, glad to be here. I feel blessed today. Sober, and that's what you do. And I went through 16 months of that. One of the things is, some people ask me, even though I do regret that time in my life and the years wasted, and by the way, I need to take these 2 items. Even though I do kind of waste, sort of regret, that, like I said, it wasted a decade of my life in situations I never wanted to be in, and it hurt me. And my father was convinced I was just absolutely insane. When he passed away in 2015, I just wish I could have. I didn't know then what I know now, and I could have told him. I was literally being poisoned. I'm very sorry that I'd let you down so many ways. But part of AA is that you go around and you do a lot of atoning for the stuff that you did, but you're really never in the 12 steps been able to just go to somebody who really wronged you in that manner and be able to just go, hey, dude, all you really can do is just go and forgive them because it's all in. Yeah, I was going to say, so. Fix caps and mayors, on the sealed. See, we had some wine. Fixed by fighting the foreign mayors, now it's next. Anyway, let me just go over here, see if anybody's still with us today. Anyway, let's see. Andrew Tate is not presented in schools. Andrew Tate was basically at schools. The schools were being told by basically the UK's education authority. We understand that Andrew Tate is very, very popular among men across the UK at this age range. And so they said, we think it's very important that, you have an assembly talking to people about this, talking to your students about why They should not pay attention to entertainment. You should not pay attention to entertainment. Okay, Julia, thanks. Take care, man. Oscarbot. Hello, Oscarbot. You just asked that at the exact right time, Oscarbot. Let's go through our list here. We have to get the closed beta done. We have to take care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 24 things. We need 24 things done. For the closed beta, about 6 things are very close to being complete. Leaving us with 18 things done. Out of those 18, I'd say half of those are things we absolutely desperately need to have working for the beta. The remaining 9 are, we could have. It's not fatal. We are a week out. We just had to post on our Patreon that we're delaying the release of the first closed beta again, but before we had to delay it by about a month. Then we had to delay it by 2 weeks, and now we're down to a week. And over the last month, we've taken care of 120 bugs and errors and system issues within the game. Again, that's in 2 weeks, which means we took care of over 8.5, errors every day. And again, we only have 18 to take care of over the next 7 days. We could cut our productivity down to half, and we will still, I think, be able to produce a good MVP/beta, first beta in 1 week from now. So, hey, for those people who are considering, donating to our Patreon, hey, $1 gets you access. We're gonna be releasing that, next week. And this time we're gonna hopefully have Steam keys available, and we're gonna be able to dynamically, update it on Steam. So from now on, it's no longer these incremental, every few months we release a new version with a bunch of new changes. Essentially, every time we come up with it, every day or every 48 hours, we're just going to take all the changes, all fixes, upload to Steam. Everybody gets it, and I'm looking forward to that. But and if you're not aware where our game is on Steam, I don't know, our exact URL, but we are on Steam. I'm on Steam. I'll just bring this over. Yeah, here we are. Steamy Steamerton. We've been there, I think, for about a year and a half now, 2 years. And by the way, for any indie game developers watching, one piece of advice I give any indie game developer: pay the fee and get your game on Steam. The moment you get it on Steam, it gains so much legitimacy. For example, it will appear on YouTube games. It'll appear in Twitch games. It'll appear in so many various places that normally it would not be seen. And for $100 of a listing fee, oh my goodness, such a deal. Anyway, let's see here. I'm thinking I'm going to go over to my list again because I fixed that, and I'm at 24. Don't sound in landing, flock of birds, inch just fixing that. Glow around catnip, I think she fixed that. Let's see. Here's what we got. Oh yeah, we need to get the mushroom SFX. Those are going to be, made those yesterday. I gave those to a coder. When the cat is happy, In happy mode, there should be a purr loop playing in the background. That's what I got here. Let's try and make that a little bit bigger so you can see. We have a problem where the utility building is a little bit wonky. We may have to read just to make, convert it into another format in the next coming days, because for some reason I made it accessible in the external world. Let's see, create happy mode. Lance is already on that. Boom, son. We already have that, but I want this screen to be blank until a certain point. Just essentially a couple of milliseconds of black, about a second and a half of blackness before the screen becomes visible. So interior documents, yeah, lobster traps. This is something that really occurred to me earlier today, and we would like have only 23 items to deal with, had it not been for this. If you go out to any island in Maine, that's really where the last lobstermen, outside of a few cities that still have working waterfront, they reside, and they have their lobster trips in their front lawn. In fact, I guarantee, let's see. There's one place on Cliff Island where literally you can see on Google Maps. Let's see, sorry. The gigantic piles of lobster traps. It's crazy to think that where, by the way, lobsters are being driven to extinction even in Maine. I mean, when I worked at the diner that I worked with, we imported our crab from Maine. I'm sorry, no, from Canada. Sorry, we imported our crab from Canada. There's this one house on Cliff Island. Let's wait for it to get in highest resolution. But there's one. It's by that house. Yeah, it's getting clearer and clearer. Yeah, you can see them right here. This mass of by these two boats. Hopefully, you can see my pointer. But right in the center of the screen here, you see these two boats right by the church road here. This mass of yellow objects here and back here are lobster traps that are stacked about, I'd say, 8 to 10 feet high. And there used to be a lot more of them out here. Unfortunately, again, lobsters are being driven to extinction. So, lobster is no longer the job it used to be out here in Maine. But we never had those inside the game. And I was like, why did we never include those? And I think one of the reasons is that we have to make them ourselves because nobody's created a realistic version of what a lobster. Nobody's made a a pre-built version in 3D of what a lobster trap looks like in Maine, and we may have to make that from scratch over the next couple of days. And let's see what else we have here. Yeah, that robot. Meow. I would like it so that when the conversations between the cats and the animals, there's like a sound each time whenever either they press an answer or they respond. The comfort system is not 100% yet. I would like that mini quest, a little mini quest in the first introductory quest. We don't necessarily need it. That's why it's up here at the top. We don't necessarily need these items at the very top. But I would also like it, right now, you saw earlier in the video what sneak vision looks like. But I would like it also so that when the cat goes into sneak, things that they can interact with are outlined, so or maybe glowing or something, so they know they aren't just navigating. Players aren't navigating blind. Something similar to if you ever played Detroit Become Human. There was something like that was you could go into this one detect growth. But trust me, we're going to make it a little bit more. With our game is not like Detroit. because that is more like an interactive movie. There was no real challenge in it. But anyway, look up billboards. These are the billboards. I would like it so that when the cats, or say for example, sorry, I'm trying to zoom into this one. Trying to get to Bud Perry's corner. Stop hitting this. Almost. What's coming at me? Oh yeah, it's because I'm still in prefab. Yeah, I would like it so that, say for example, a player walks up to these billboards. If they press the key, the camera will like zoom up so that the viewer will get a closer view of everything up here on flyers and such. That was that. Let's see. Mission fails. We've in the intro mission, this one here, we found out that if the player gets too far behind, it's like, damn it, CJ, all you had to do is cast the tray. Essentially, in these intro missions in every open world adventure game, if you fall too far behind, the character that's leading you on it, the mission will reset, or that NPC will pause and wait for you. And we have it so that if the player falls too far behind, the mission respawns, but we don't have it so that if the cat gets too far ahead of the NPC, the mission fails. And to our credit, very few missions, and I mean, I remember missions in Red Dead Redemption where I ran ahead of the NPC and it didn't catch me. So that's AAA level. This add church to mice add church to mice entrance. No, add mice to church entrance. Right there. That is something that's more story and oriented, and it's not absolutely essential. And the last thing that I have up here, and it's really easy to fix. I don't think that the golf carts, when the cats are driving the golf carts, I don't think they have a tight enough turning radius. So I want to fix that, and for some reason I can't, fix that and have it apply in the prefab. I need to talk to our coder and see if he can fix that. And he doesn't. I don't know. He's like, man, it turns really tight already. Come on, no, it has to turn tight enough. So it's an arcade. He's a driver. I have not driven a car in 25 years. I think now 26, and I take much pride in that. I do not want to drive a car for the rest of my life. I seriously don't. Oh, let's see. I'm just seeing if there are any chats that came up while I did that. Just this that. Okay, but you tell you what, I think I've been streaming now for how dang long have I been going? There's usually a time counter here. 2 hours and 20 minutes. My goodness. That's longer than I ever have streamed before. And by the way, I need to start feeding our kitty cats come the top of the hour. At 8 o'clock is kitty feeding time. I'm going to go to the restroom one last time. And while I'm away, if anybody has any comments, questions, or criticism about Peace Island, please type them in the chat, and I'll respond when I get back, okay? Bye. Be right back. Not a single question. Not a single question or comment. And that's fine. Because again, these aren't the most exciting updates, but we are making progress. As you could see, I was able to take care of one item, and unfortunately, along the way, I discovered 3 items that need to be taken care of. But you know, it's always that way. As long in the end, we took 1 item off of the must-do list, and we took 3 items off that otherwise would have passed beyond our notice. So in the end, we made progress, and that's all that really counts. So hey, so I will see you guys next time I stream. And by the way, I will say I do not hold it against my mother anymore that she, you know, put me on those medications and such. Because again, what I will say that again, when people ask me, you know, do you regret those years and months that were lost? At least to a certain extent, I do. But I learned lessons and that a lot of people never get a chance to. I mean, I just did. I learned some very important lessons about life that I think I still see a lot of people that are involved in me that still talk. And it looks like we're missing that. That's not good. I thought I'd put that in. Don't tell me it's lost. That's I know we still have this image. This is a sign at the garden shop. Let's just see. But I know we have this image. It's in the science folder. I'm just gonna find it. I hate seeing this, by the way, when something I fixed a couple of months ago, or a couple of weeks ago, is not fixed. So I have to fix it. It's not to the art. Go to science. And that's odd. We're missing it. Oh, that's not good. The sign that we're going to use there is gone. Well, I will have to make it all again. I know it is not completely lost. It has to be on here somewhere. It's just infuriating. Yeah, that's frustrating. Especially with science, because I know I saved it here. Let me see if there's something with my professional license. Well, I do not know where the heck that went. We created a completely brand new song for that one business, and it's very annoying. But, you know, we will find it again. I'll just have to add it to the list. So we're back up to 24 items. Find garden shop sign. Hey, no progress. It's another night working on Peace Island. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.